So, welcome to podcast number 15 of the Women Who Make It Happen Stories to Success. We're joined by Isabelle from CBRE of INNR. Got it first time. It'd be great just to kind of go through a few parts around your journey of where you started, how you got to where you are today, and what interests you the most within the role, but how the CSSF, so the regulator over in Luxembourg, has evolved with compliance over the years, which I'm sure has been quite a lot. The role of a compliance director, so how that impacts business decisions and business drivers, the biggest challenge within the industry, along what your biggest challenges have been as your personal career growth and kind of all your steps in the career, any challenges you found when hiring diversity, and then any words of encouragement to female leaders looking to come into this position from a graduate stage or people in middle management all the way through, just from kind of what you've learned throughout your time. So I'll do a brief introduction of myself. So I'm Anna. So I work for Interquest Group as one of their managing consultants based over in the Netherlands. And our main focus is all across risk, regulation, and compliance related mandates across the Benelux region. Isabelle.
So thank you very much for this opportunity and for reaching out. I think it's a great initiative. So I'm very actually surprised and absolutely delighted to be part of it. So I'm Isabelle Siaud. I'm currently the compliance director of CBRE and Luxembourg, so which are, as I mentioned, a small division of CBRE. I've been there for this role as compliance director for 2.5 years. And if we are talking about my journey in compliance, so I joined the compliance, let's say, journey as a surprise. I didn't study, I didn't know anything about compliance when I was younger. And when I finished my studies, actually, I worked a bit in France, and I actually quite quickly decided to work in Luxembourg. And at this time, I literally distribute my CV, which was at the time very paper-hand and so, to some temp agency and so, and say, yeah, I'm looking for a job. And the same day, I got a job in a bank. For some basic compliance work. And this is actually how my journey began. So first on a mission on refreshing some QIC files and so on. And then kept me for some first like a determined contract, and then they kept me for a longer time and so on. So it was absolutely like just a surprise. And I really like the subject matter, and I was so I really joined the compliance on the AML QIC part first, because of course compliance is massive. I mean, it's involved a lot of different subjects. So I really began with the AML QIC, which is now like the utmost, I would say, importance on all regulators across the world and so on. It is a big fight of all the institutions and so on, that not to be in anywhere involved in any really important failure of with obligation of AML. So this is for the introduction.
Yeah, I mean, with the AML side, I think obviously we're coming into audit season at the moment as well. So everyone's got main focus is across AML and KYC. But two things that kind of really stood out to me from that particular space was not having the education for it, and then also the relocation side of it, of moving from France to Luxembourg, because France and moving to Luxembourg, the kind of language side of it stays pretty similar, because we work with companies over there. They always look for people who can speak French or German. But the educational piece of it can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge when moving out your career. So have you ever found that that's kind of hindered anything moving forwards? And what was it that drove you into the compliance side? Because you mentioned it kind of came as a surprise. Was there a particular thing that kind of got your buy-in, which made you stay there? What was the interest?
Actually, I've been very well supported. I mean, at the beginning of my career, I've met fantastic people, and I'm still in contact with them as I've become friends and even mentors and so on. And this is why I'm so grateful. And I think this is why I'm still in this field, because I started my career with these very fantastic people. And they really push me and to grow and to study. So this is why I've been enrolled to some university courses when I joined the bank. So on all the laws, and so I had courses on Friday and Saturday all day long. So for some period of time, and some evening courses. I also enrolled myself in some evening courses because I say, okay, I'm interested, but actually what I study is French. Laws and I want to be good. I mean, I will try to be good in this job, so I need to study more, and I want to add some more skills on my CV and so. And I think it's very important that if someone gives you a chance, and you have to make it that people trust you, and if they invest in you, you make it work. So
see, I really like that, because people can give you an opportunity, but it's how much you actually utilize it and how much you put into it. Because if someone gives you a foundation, all it takes is for you to go and get a little bit more education, or for you to kind of go and do some reading, and it is in your own personal time. It can never be during work, because obviously that's where you're trying to find the commerciality side. But it's the people that sort of apply it there. And I myself, I never went and got a degree either. So I then started doing it a little bit later in life, and it is just that little bit of extra application. So I can actually relate to where you're coming from with that sense. Completely different field, but still. But from learning it with the French laws, did you find that quite interchangeable between the two countries, or are they fairly dissimilar with each different region that you go to?
So now with all the EU directive, of course, there's some. I mean, the directive, of course, I apply across Europe and so. But for me, so we are talking about now almost 15 years back, because I'm in compliance for like 15 years, and I
feels like yesterday.
Yes, exactly. So I didn't have any, let's say. How can I say that, overview on the compliance on the French side, because at this point of time it was we didn't have we didn't have this impact that it is as today. And also I've actually studied accountancy, management, and economics, and I started also with some international trade. So, I mean, this is also very different from what I've actually studied afterwards when I joined and I started to work in Luxembourg.
Okay. And then from when you kind of gone through those 15 years, as you mentioned, through all of the financial services industry, through all of the EU changes in terms of regulation, everything new, weird and wonderful, which they like to compile in year on year. How has the CSSF worked with or worked against certain organisations as these come into play? Because you hear different views on different regulators, and some are glowing references and some just everyone fears. So how have you found that's evolved, and how has it been implemented into the companies that you've worked for?
So if I remember, when the compliance was tiny, let's say, it was first you had to have a compliance person, because you just have to make someone busy in the organization, like we have a compliance person and so on. It was like more the tick box exercise, and the regulator at the time, we knew it was existing, but they didn't have, I would say that of course, it is my personal opinion, and not at all the opinion of the company and so on. But when I remember it was like, we know the regulator was existing, but it didn't have the same impact as it is today. So meaning that today, we all know that the question is actually, it's not if you have been inspected, it's when are you going to be inspected by the regulator? Because now we all know there's not a chance at all to to manage between no, it's a professional obligation. You know that you're gonna go through an inspection. There's no way to avoid it, and this is where the regulator being also, in Luxembourg, we also have the insurance regulator, because I also worked for the insurance regulator before. I was in the insurance sector before. And this is where they have a huge impact and so on, because you know that you have a duty of cooperation, of professional obligation towards the regulator as a compliance person. So, and you know you're going to go through an inspection at some point of time.
Yeah, and I think that even rings bells just from before COVID, was where the risk, the compliance functions, they will all seem as just a nice to have rather than a need to have. And since then, you've seen it been emphasized so much of the utilization and uniqueness of these types of roles, but also how much they're needed within an organization. And people never really realized it as much, particularly from the top and even from the middle. And now you see it as one of the necessity hires that people always look for and people look out for. So I suppose from what you just said as well around how that sort of evolutionized of like a nice to have and here's compliance to we need this, as the role of a compliance director, what would you say is the impacts that that would have on business decisions as well as business drivers?
First, I would say during my journey, I would say first education and awareness, because as you say, it takes a long time between just we need to have a compliance and the work of what is actually the work of compliance person in a company. And especially, you can have like a big team of compliance person, but ultimately there's one person who's gonna have the contact with the regulator and is gonna be like accountable to the decision of the company, the decision on AML, QIC, and so on. And this is very important. And sometimes which is not, let's say, understood also internally, that okay, you make decision, but I advise you to go rather this way, but you decided to go this way, but you know that I'm not gonna be the one who are gonna sell this decision, because, and this is why it's very important in compliance and so on, because of our reputation, our honorability, that everything also is documented. Because in 5 years or even less, we will not remember why this decision has been taken. Yeah. And of course, it was a very nice discussion and so on. But it's not valid in front of someone, of a regulator and so on. And this is very, very much important. And this is something I actually try. That please document everything, every discussion or decision, or even when the teams reviews a file, even within together, challenge yourself. Why you ask this one? I would prefer that we request this document rather than this one, because everything is very important, and not only regulatory, but also for the you mentioned, Anna, for internal or external auditors. Yes. We need proof of everything.
Yeah, I know. It all has to be written down and documented. And especially at this time of year, I bet you're seeing some of the gaps come forwards of where people have kind of missed that. So I suppose from a compliance director perspective, how do you aim to get, because it must be quite difficult when you go to other areas of the business and you say, I want all of this documented, and they probably say, okay. Yeah. How do you get the buy-in from people in order to actually be able to have that all there, or is that the $1 million question?
Yes, the thing is actually, which my most hated sentence is, we always done this way, or historically we always done this way. Yeah, but it was like, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, the world has evolved, the laws have evolved, the impact and the reputation has evolved also. We don't want to be name shamed and so on. Yeah. So the world, the compliance evolved with the world. This is what is important with the subject. Actually, it's always on the go. It's always evolving, and this. I mean, we need to keep track.
Yeah.
It's also a very productive area, and sometimes it's a lot to digest. But and this is and I mean to mostly to educate what the risks are, where we can live with or without. Let's say, because sometimes we can have it's been a decision, management decision. We decide, we can live with it without this or this. But and sometimes, there's a really valid decision. I mean, which can be sold. But of course, it has these limits in every day.
Yeah, because it's around like the change side of it as well, isn't it? It's what you said. We've done this the same for the last 15 years, and it's okay. That's great, but in the last 5 months, a lot has changed. Let alone over the last 15 years. But then trying to get people to actually be on board with that change is one of the hardest aspects of it, because it's kind of rattling your brain because you have the regulator on your back pushing for it. And then trying to like push them almost to be on board with what you're trying to get out of it. But then there's always one general concept of the business that you work for. It is kind of working in benefit to that. And everyone at the moment is rushing for the audit season. How are you finding it kind of going into that space, and also the rundown for Scarily Christmas?
Well, in this sense, at this point of time, we are working on actually closing the audit points.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we know we are learning. We're gonna also change some approach in terms of organization and so on, because we need to make it comfortable for all the teams, that not everything is coming at the same time. So of course we are learning to organize, to cooperate, and so on, and maybe hopefully to understand also the importance of either internal or external audit, and it has to also be treated as the same priority as clients, as reporting, and so on.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's looking at the prioritization of, this is the one thing that we need closed off. Please, can someone just help me?
Yes, so, exactly. Yes.
I suppose taking all of that into consideration, if you kind of look across the span of your career as well, what would you say was the biggest change in the industry which stands out to you today?
The biggest change in the industry, I would say still the impact of on even on a European or a global scale, actually, of the attraction of what compliance is. This for me, it has been massive. I mean, in terms of team, of term of position now being available. Before, as I mentioned, it was one person. Some company now, they have a team of 10 or 15 person, because they have a huge gap of remediation of files and so on. So, and now you can see from everywhere, everybody asks for compliance and for advice. And I think this is quite, for me, it's a huge achievement for the function as such. From beginning, from like, I mean, just a tick box exercise, and being like a real advisor to the business, or to the management, or to the teams, and actually, this is for me, this is the best, let's say, nice side of it. And I also experienced it in some of my previous positions and so on. Now, when the people actually understand that you do not work against them, but actually to help. I mean, I just want you to bring me a fantastic file, and then the process will be so much easier. And say, work with me, involve me, work with me. I can guide you. I will help you. We find solution, or like interim solution, but don't exclude me, actually. And this is don't then complain that you bring me the file with like 80% of it, which is not, I can't accept, or I can't work with it. And then we have to work through the process again. I mean, this is in the interest of time, the interest of the people, and the interest of the company. And this, with some sales even in the past, I managed to go through these works, and actually it was my let's say my best victory. And I say, and then after it, no, I just want to work with Isabelle. I mean, I'm just gonna, I don't want to take the risk.
I do not want to talk to anybody else.
Exactly. I say, no. And actually, it's very nice, because then it's a relation based on trust. And then it took time. It took like a lot of arguments and lots of discussion and fights. But at the point, it was fantastic work relation, because we really worked together. And the file, this is the role of a compliance, to protect. And I say also, I protect you. Please do this way, or do try to obtain this and so. But please do ask at least. And think, it's when you manage to reach this stage of cooperation, I think as a compliance you can be quite proud of it. But it takes a long time.
It takes a lot of time and a heck of a lot of patience, because I'm protecting you, but help protect me as well, because we've heard it from other people on podcasts before from compliance backgrounds. They're seen as like the no function, and if we go to them, they're going to tell us loads of problems. So let's not go to them. Let's go around them, so we don't have someone tell us loads of problems. But then the problems just come later on, and then they're emphasized due to the impact already created by going down that sort of route. So trying to find that sort of happy collaboration, it does tend to more be with the sales guys, because sales, and I do sales myself, it's go, 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 go. I want it done today, as quickly as possible, in the next minute. But sometimes when you go into different organizations, it's about taking that kind of step back a little bit, getting that sort of extra file, as you say, or improvement, because then it just helps it move forward in a bigger way. But from them to get it to where it was in terms of engagement, or shall we say lack of, to actually having people on board across the business is such a tough and long journey. People sometimes just think like, give up, but then there's only so much you can do that, because obviously you have the regulator there as well. So it's a constant for you to be a constant to them, for them to finally realize if they just work with you, you won't nag them anymore.
Exactly. Yes, we are not like and this is what I don't like about us being perceived. They are the showstoppers. They are not the fun people. And no. I mean, of course, maybe there will always someone who argue, we are too strict and so on. And then we can, let's say, move the cursor. Let's say, what can we accept? And this is all what we always say. There's a risk-based approach. I mean, we have to evaluate the risk. What can we live with or without? But and this is also what is very important with compliance, to be, I would say, approachable, be able to talk, to be able to educate, to be able to train the people and so on. And because the more people will be, I can talk to this person, the more things will be escalated, the more things will be discovered. And I prefer always that something is seen, even though it's nothing, but that is being brought for discussion and to, just to have a talk. Then it's, the things has been ignored, and then, it was not my problem. No. So it's always better to bring a certain awareness and cooperation and because this is, I would say this is how we can solve things. I mean, because compliance is not the responsibility of only the compliance person. It's from everywhere. It's go from the management, so from the board to all the employees of any entities. So this is what people think sometimes. No, it's a matter of compliance. No. It's the responsibility of everyone.
It's on all of your shoulders.
Exactly. No. So please, I give, I make you say apply what you need to apply, but then at the rest also you have your role to do what you have to do and to escalate what is outside of your area of responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And it's also the training part of it, I think some people miss as well. And if everyone just knows compliance is what you do, they don't really understand the impacts to the business if they don't do what they do. And by just giving that tiny bit of coaching or tiny bit of training, alleviates that and also makes them realize what they actually need to do and why we're pushing it, not just to be that no function or just to be that person consistently on you. It's because we will get fined and you will get sacked.
Yes, exactly. And also in terms of reputation, I mean, this is also what people should think about. Do you want to have a company on your CV which has been in the newspaper and so on? I mean, better not to. I mean, it's part of your professional career and so on. And I think it's better to have a clean background, let's say. So this is what it's important. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And from looking at it from that as well, obviously you mentioned quite a few parts throughout the conversation which have really kind of interested you and engaged you. But what would you say across the span of your career, what your biggest challenge was from a personal perspective in that sort of area, but what your biggest success was and what really kind of gave you that I'm staying here, I really enjoy this type feeling?
So one was, as I mentioned, to work with sales and to bring this really trusting relation because it started from very hard to like a big fight, and I was young and I was didn't have the strength to fight against this person, and then actually I got some apologies in front of the management. I said, no, Isabelle was right, I do apologize, and then actually it started from there. To start from a trust relation and this is one of the victory. I say, yeah, maybe I got a point here. I was right, and this person understood that he needs to work with compliance. So for me, it's still today one of my really best victory, because I got appreciated. I got the recognition I deserved it at the time. And it really, with the time, it really moved to fantastic work relation, and we really went through fantastic files and so, and with great success. So for me, when I did see him again, I did thank him again because it was a bias actually, because also he mentioned some very nice words to the management and so on. So it was really like let's say
it's like two forces coming together, which was the biggest challenge becomes like the biggest success.
Yes.
So you kind of see the hard work as well, because you put that sort of effort in and you put that force, as you say, in and push and and then when you see it come off and you almost get that light bulb moment from them of, oh, I finally get it, we should all get on board with this. It's that little yes part of your career where you actually see why what you do is important and why it's important to keep believing in it as well. So
exactly. So this is for me one of the really positive, even though it started from a very difficult start, but sometimes things can change, so that's positive. And also some of the thing is to be from let's say junior senior position to move to another position like more senior and be responsible towards the regulator. This also been an achievement, because you see from things from another perspective, because then you're accountable and you're responsible and you work directly with the regulator. And this is also very this is also an achievement, and this is why people need to understand that we have our name, we have our reputation, we have criminal records, So we need that everything is clean to be able to either work anywhere else in Europe and so on. And because we bear the people work on also in a certain extent on our shoulders and so on. So that's why I say we need to work all together.
Yeah, that's completely right. And it's kind of looking at it from, okay, and you get it kind of with every step that you take in your careers. I get it from this perspective, then you move and you're like, I get why they was pushing this now. And then you move and you understand again why they go down that route, and you understand why it was pushed down and rolled out. And it's strange when you go to all the different places and it starts from a junior and you're thinking, what the hell are they doing? Yes. It starts like piecing together like a jigsaw puzzle, and you're like, I get it now.
Exactly. And actually the best companion, I would say, are the internal, external and regulators.
Yeah.
Because you sometimes we can say a million times we need this, and then no, we can't. And then you get internal report or external report and say, yeah, this is missing and missing. And I say, yeah, well.
It's funny that, isn't it?
I'm not gonna take the pride of it, but I mean,
it's like, do I say I told you so, or do I just say take pride in it? But also from kind of moving through those phases and going up to the leadership position as a female, and kind of looking at opening teams and managing teams, how have you found it in terms of diversity when hiring within that type of area?
So this question I will leave for next year, because for now I'm still alone today. So I'm my own team.
Team of one. Yeah. That's the best.
So I'm managing myself. I'm coaching myself. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So next year.
Well, from like a different perspective, where you've been in teams in previous companies, how have you found that in terms of like diversification?
Yeah, because previously I was having another role, so I was the head of compliance for Europe. Yes. So I was based in Luxembourg, but I was also responsible for all the branches in Europe. So I had people, so it was like compliance officer based from all over Europe, and we were all working together. So me being, let's say, okay, we need to apply this kind of requirements and so on. The thing is, I found the more higher you go, the more lonely you are.
Yeah.
So the completely different of spirit when I was, let's say, compliance specialist or so on. So I was part of a team, and reporting to the head of compliance and so on. So which is a completely different feeling. So yeah. It's different. It's different in terms of work, in terms of responsibility, in terms of and to get your voice heard also, because even before you're just like part of a team, you kind of channel what your opinion is, but ultimately the decision will be made by someone else. Based on a first judgment, and so yeah, it's this is what I've seen across the journey.
Yeah, I think we hear that more often than not, is the higher you get, the more lonelier it gets. Because it's not like you are part of that team where you can all have your discussions and you all kind of have those conversations, because it then goes into the point where you're having to push what needs to be done. Rather than actually understanding and just being part of that sort of team where you get all the collective ideas and see where we land. And so then it is a standalone role even when you do manage a team. So we do actually see and hear that more often than not, which is why I think it's important for senior leaders across different industries to get together and kind of share thoughts and feelings, because that's only really where you're able to have those sort of what I like to call whiteboarding discussions, to be able to kind of flicker back and forth with people that are feeling the same thing, but a little bit from a different concept. And then it kind of adds that sense of community to senior leaders, rather than you're on your own because you're the top now and everyone else is got to go by what you say. I suppose based on that as well, from a senior leadership perspective, but also if we take you back to kind of where you were junior and to start rounding this conversation up a little bit, what would you say would be any words of encouragement that you would provide to the industry in this type of space, be it getting to see female senior leaders, be it to middle management, be it to someone who's a graduate looking to get their first foot in the door? From how you've seen it across your career, is there anything you'd go back and tell yourself at the beginning where you think would help someone else now?
Yeah, I would have loved that someone say to me, don't doubt of trust yourself. Trust yourself, because usually the first let's say opinion or the first impression you have is the best one. You are in the right idea or whatever, and also because it was also part of my career, don't let someone say you can't do it. And because I'm gonna do it, and you're gonna watch me doing it. So,
I like that. I will do it and you will watch.
So so this was some, let's say, the backwards of the career. Sometimes to be being refused the promotion or something, and so that was
I do think people doubt themselves a little bit too much, and I think we can all sit here and we can all say someone at some point in our life has said, well, you're not going to make it, or you're not going to be able to do it, and kind of challenges your own sort of thought process. And it's actually just being able to say, you know what, stuff you, because you've said I can't do it, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
And you're going to stand at the sidelines and you're going to watch me do it, and then you're going to eat your words. Which I think is the thing that everyone sort of needs, that little sort of kick. But don't let it kick you down, just let it kick you forwards, because ultimately then it's the achievement of standing there and looking to the side and being like, see.
Because the worst thing in life, and it's also my motto in my personal and so on, is at least try. Even if you fail, you've tried. You can't go back and 10 years, I should have taken this position, but I did not trust myself, or I was not knowledgeable enough, and so on. There's a lot of things you can learn on the go. Nobody has the 20 skills which are being required for a position and so on. This does not exist, and this I've learned along the time. If you want to do it, just do it. If you fail, what if? At least you tried, and then maybe it's gonna take you to another route, or to another. You will meet someone who's gonna be like someone support you for another job or something. It's always part of meeting people and being supported by someone, or just being. There's always a reason why you're gonna be redirected somewhere, let's say.
I really like that, and I think that'll actually sit with some people who would be listening to this as well, and just have little bit of no, you can do it and I will do it, and let's try it, because people do face the backlash of, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not, but just bite the bullet. You do it, you fail, you learn, you move on. You do it, you succeed, you've earned something, you've shown yourself your ability. And that actually adds a lot more. And people always say you learn more from failure than you do from success anyway. So you need to take the punches with the wins to be able to actually get to where you want to be. So I love stuff like that.
No, because I would have never learned if I didn't have all this pushback or deception. And I cried a lot, during appraisals and so on. And so I don't understand. And because you think you do the best and so, but at the point I say, okay, you will learn. And then, it's a way, let's say that no background is interesting if everything is flat and with all success. This does not appear. In every success, there's a lot of failures, there's lots of deception, there's lots of sacrifice. and nobody reach anything with just sitting and we're just waiting. It's happening.
There's a queen bee.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna kill a dream.
Oh, squash that now. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't happen. So.
No, of course. Well, look, I think that's a really good area to start winding it down. Isabelle, I don't know if you have any other commentary on that at all, or anything else you want to add just before we round off.
No, I think you had a question about the woman in the industry or something like this.
That was just around kind of where you found the diversity inside of it, and then kind of providing some encouragement to it. So that's all to the female leadership side, and kind of just emphasizing that from talking to someone like you who's in that sort of position, and they will obviously watch this and hopefully join on just to understand, okay, she's faced the challenges, she's been knocked down, she's had the same as me, but she is where she is, and that's where they kind of buy into to see how they can actually get there. Which will come from like the diversity challenge in terms of hiring, but we're not quite there yet.
We can do a session 1, session 2 next year.
Session 3, session 4. But no, as I say, this is for them to see, people like yourself are in such positions, and these are why, and this is the challenges, and here's your drivers, and this is your words of encouragement almost to them, be it people wanting to be in senior leaders, be it graduates. Women do make it to these. It doesn't come easy, but here's the reasons why we stick at it, and that is what people we're keen to make people understand and see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I think a lot of what you said around being knocked out will resonate with so many people, but it's also interesting to understand your career throughout the industries and over the time as well. So as I say, thank you for sharing your story. And also
thank you to you. That was very, very nice, very interesting experience. Another one, I've never done it before, so another experience. No, very nice. So yeah, thank you for choosing me. So